wondered about the differences between the levels of English? Why is one answer considered really advanced and another answer isn't? Well, in my first video of Mother's Day vocabulary, I focused all on collocations at a B1 level. This video is very different. We're going to be looking at the question, how is Mother's Day celebrated? And we're going to have a look at my answer. Then we're going to dissect my answer and really have a look at the grammar, the vocabulary, the discourse markers, everything that really goes together to make an answer nice. So this should be interesting. Stay with me and let's see. Mothers are usually told to relax and enjoy a nice long lie-in while their children prepare breakfast in bed. But depending on the age of the children, this generally results in mothers straining to hear what's going on in the kitchen and anxiously hoping the kids don't burn the house down. Hopefully, Dad is on hand to supervise, clean up the mess, and dutifully carry the tray to the bedroom. Mums then get to pretend to enjoy burnt toast, soggy cereals, and a card that's either sappy or corny, depending on which route the kids went down. If mums aren't treated to breakfast in bed, they're often taken out to brunch. Then the rest of the day centers around whatever the mother wants to do, whether it's spending the afternoon getting pampered at a spa or relaxing in the garden with a good book. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the lovely grammar and vocabulary I've used. But before I do that, I would like you to pause this video and just think about it. What do you consider good about this answer? I'll see you in a minute. So we started off with the sentence, mothers are usually told to relax and enjoy a nice long lie-in while their children prepare breakfast in bed. So immediately we're starting off very strong using the passive voice. Mothers are told to relax and enjoy. So I don't know who told them this. It might have been the kids, it might have been her husband, but the fact is, it's the mother that we're focusing on because it's Mother's Day. And then we've got that really nice verb pattern. Remember that different verbs take different forms of the word. Some verbs want an infinitive, some verbs want a gerund. In this case, you tell someone to do something. I need that to infinitive. So, mothers are told to relax. And I said that every family is different, so I'm just giving you an example. And you know that because I'm using the adverb usually to introduce a general example. You're going to see lots of adverbs in this example today. There's also a nice bit of vocabulary with this idea of a lie-in. So this is when you are just lying in bed. You wake up, but you don't get up. You might just be dozing in and out of consciousness, or you might be scrolling through social media on your phone or reading a book, but the fact is you are lying in bed. And then we've got that nice conjunction while, which is indicating that these two things are happening at the same time. So mothers are lying in bed while children are in the kitchen. Let's move on to the next sentence. But depending on the age of the children, this generally results in mothers straining to hear what's going on in the kitchen and anxiously hoping the kids don't burn the house down. So this starts out with that nice contrast, but, and then goes on to explain the situation with the phrase depending on. So everything in this situation depends on the age of the children. Because if your children are 5 or 15, there's going to be a difference in how the day goes. Now, If you were studying for any exam, like an IELTS exam or a CAE exam, it's really important to have this idea of coherence and cohesion. And cohesion is when we link ideas back to something we have previously said or written. So here we're saying, but depending on the age of the children, this generally results in, well, what is this? You've got to go back to the previous sentence in order to find out what we're referring to. And that is an excellent example of making your writing cohesive. Hopefully, Dad is on hand to supervise, clean up the mess, and dutifully carry the tray to the bedroom. Now, adverbs are very useful because they add interest to a story by adding extra description. So I said that mothers are anxiously hoping that the house doesn't burn down, and now Dad is dutifully available or on hand to do something. Now, honestly, I could have put dutifully at any point. I could have said dutifully supervise, dutifully clean up, dutifully carry the tray. It's just a really humorous way of saying, do his duty as a father, fulfill his responsibilities. He's responsible for carrying the breakfast tray of food. Mums then get to pretend to enjoy burnt toast, soggy cereals, and a card that's either sappy or corny, depending on which route the kids went down. Just like adverbs add interest, so do adjectives, and I have used a lot in this sentence. So they're actually collocations, an adjective and a noun, because we see these commonly together. Burnt toast. I'm not sure how kids always end up burning the toast. Why don't they just put the little lever on the toaster down and wait for it to pop up? I never understand how it always gets burnt. But it does. It is the result is it is burnt. And because of that, we are using a participle adjective from the verb to burn. Burn, burnt, burnt. So it is at verb 3. And then we have got soggy cereals. Ugh, if something has been left in liquid for too long, it becomes all soft and mushy. A definite collocation. Now, do you have any idea of the meaning of a sappy card? We've got either a sappy card or a corny card. So what's the meaning of sappy? We often use this to talk about movies, sappy romantic movies. So it could be positive or negative. It really depends on your point of view. I quite like a sappy movie every now and then. It's something that is very overly sentimental, very emotional. Imagine a card that has lots of hearts and flowers and a big I love you in the middle. That would be quite a sappy card. Now, corny is actually very similar to sappy in the fact that it is still quite emotional, it's quite sentimental, but it's got the idea that it's a cliche. So it's not very original. You're saying really the same thing that every other person says. There are no new ideas. You might have a little poem inside a corny card, like roses are red, violets are blue, who's the best mum in the world? It's you. So something like that. When you open it, you go, okay. Now, because these two adjectives are very similar, it's really going to depend on you as the person, how you view the card. So I might pick up a card and say, that's really corny. Who would say something like that? It's a joke. And then my friend might pick it up and say, oh, that's really sweet. That's sappy. Oh, I quite like that. Yeah, I'm going to give this to my mum. So different people can view the same thing in different ways. And then, of course, you're going to use different adjectives. Just keep that in mind, that there is not one correct adjective to use. Now, the next sentence. If mums aren't treated to breakfast in bed, they're often taken out to brunch. Brunch. Oh, one of my favorite meals. It's that lovely combination of breakfast and lunch together. Oh, it's wonderful. Now, if you're one of my students, then you know that I absolutely love conditionals. Just because they are so commonly used, you cannot avoid them. So you've got to get used to using them yourself and just hearing them, reading them on a daily basis. So this is a basic conditional. It's a zero conditional because I am stating this as a fact. If you heat water, it boils. It's a fact. If mums aren't treated to breakfast in bed, they're often taken out to brunch. It's a fact. In my opinion, of course. Now, just because it is the zero conditional does not mean it's not impressive, because this is actually in passive voice. So we've taken passive and we've put it inside a conditional. Lovely. If mums aren't treated to breakfast by somebody, they are taken out by somebody. Okay, but what about the vocabulary? So we've got this idea of treating someone to something. This is really nice because you're giving somebody something special, something that they don't normally have in their day-to-day routine. So this could also be a noun. You could say, I enjoy chocolate as a treat. I treat myself to chocolate. I enjoy chocolate as a treat. So not every day, but whenever I've done something to deserve it, then yes. It's like my dog. My dog gets a carrot as a treat when she's good, which is not very often. Prepositions. I am sure they are the bane of your existence, which is just a lovely phrase to say that I'm sure you hate them. So, prepositions can be very flexible, and you do have to be careful that you're not changing the meaning. In this case, I said go out to breakfast, to lunch, to dinner, but I could have said go out for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. In this case, it is very flexible. Choose the one that you want. Then, the rest of the day centers around whatever the mother wants to do, whether it's spending the afternoon getting pampered at a spa or relaxing in the garden with a good book. Then is a really easy way to indicate to your listener or to your reader that you are giving information in a chronological order. And that is really important for me to be able to follow your train of thought and what you're saying. So we're starting off with then, and then I've got that really nice verb choice. The day centers around her, centers around what she wants. Now, I could have used the verb revolve. The day revolves around her. That's another option. And I've said not what she wants to do, but whatever she wants to do. And this is just giving more emphasis to the fact it doesn't matter if she wants to go shopping or go to an amusement park and ride a roller coaster. We're going to do whatever she wants. So just a little bit of emphasis there. So my last question for you guys is, what would you prefer? Would you prefer a heartfelt homemade breakfast in bed? Or would you rather get taken to a swanky restaurant for brunch? I don't know. I'm quite lazy. I think I'd prefer to stay in bed. But I do like the idea of getting dressed up and going out to a nice restaurant. It's a difficult question. So I've gone through this quite quickly and had a look at some of the really nice grammar and vocabulary. Of course, I have not dissected every single tiny piece of this answer. So if there are any questions that you still have, if you're not sure about anything, if you'd like further explanation, just leave me a comment below and I'm happy to help. And of course, if you haven't taken a look at my other videos, go and do that. I've got some great grammar analysis that I do in more detail, and I do explain the grammar behind the sentences that I'm using.